Co-chairpersons of the South Florida Games are Olympic star Bob Beamon and his wife Milana. Bob's record long jump of 29 feet, 2.5 inches still stands in the Olympics, and it's been 28 years since he made that amazing leap. At the time, it was nearly 2 feet farther than anyone else had ever jumped, and it took 23 years for someone to match it outside of the Olympics. Milana and Bob are with us in the studio now, and Bob, the first thing I have to ask you is, you see that video of you making the long jump. What goes through your head and your heart when you see that?
Well, it's a time when I had to believe in myself and to feel that I was the one that would be bringing home the gold medal. It took a lot of courage, it took a lot of motivation, and all those little parties in high school and college that I could not attend because of practice, it was not in vain. So I really enjoy those moments, and so does my family.
Do you still feel some of the angst or the adrenaline that was pumping at that moment when you watch that?
Well, when I actually watch it, it makes me feel like, and when I make observations of how I landed, I felt that I could have gotten more out of it. So I feel like I want to go back again and try to duplicate or surpass that performance.
Right, and now you'd go 32 feet, right?
Right, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk about the Inter-City Games. Milana, how did you both get involved in this?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold is an old friend, Arnold and Maria, old friends of Bob's. And when Arnold got involved with Danny Hernandez, he was the founder of the LA Inter-City Games. He wanted to come to Miami, so the first person that he thought about was Bob. So he called Bob and asked Bob if he would be interested in looking at the whole project. And Bob did. Bob got interested. We pulled together, some key people in the community to determine what the feasibility, would be, and the rest is history.
It was a very successful event last year. Going to be a highly successful event again this year. Tell me about how many kids you have involved and where they all come from.
Basically, we try to make sure that we get all of inner-city kids throughout Dade County, and this year we've added on a county, an additional county, which is Broward County. So we'll have kids competing from both counties this year. We'll have at least 10,000 kids going in and out of the program.
It's so incredible when you see the faces on these kids and the excitement that it generates. What do you think this does for the spirit of a young girl or a young boy?
Well, I have to reflect back to when I was a young teenager, or when I was younger. I had very little hope, and I had friends or people in the neighborhood that would actually support me and to motivate me to be the very best that I could be. So it takes people like myself, my wife, and you, and plus all the supporting agencies around to make sure that these kids are getting the very best, and so that they can be motivated and pass that torch on to their children.
Sure. Milana, you actually produce the programs involved with Inter-City Games. You put the whole thing together. What kind of reactions do you get from the kids? What do you see from them?
Absolutely incredible reaction, Jennifer. From children coming up to you and thanking you for doing this for them, to little notes that they send, to just a conversation saying that I never knew that I could do this, and now I feel like this is something that I might want to do. The woman, the young girl that won the essay contest last year, she had never entered anything like that before in her life. With winning the essay contest, not only did she accomplish something very wonderful, but she was able to recite it in front of 10,000 people and never missed a beat, and that was an incredible feat for her. And now she's gone off and gone into writing and is looking at going to law school, things that she had never thought about before, and that kind of makes it all, worthwhile.
So essentially what happens is you're starting these kids not just on these games, but you're starting them on a new way of life.
Absolutely. Self-development.
And the self-esteem, I imagine, that comes from sports, that comes from participating in sports and comes from that healthy sense of competition, just does wonders for a teenager,
well, that's
right?
just one segment. We have, throughout the year, we'll have arts programs, dancing. We've got some great entertainers here that will say, Bob, Milana, let me help.
Right.
And we look forward to working with some of our major entertainers here to associate themselves with the kids.
Well, let's talk for a minute about the celebrity involvement. Last year, Arnold Schwarzenegger was here. I remember we did an interview with him. You, obviously, yourself as a celebrity also, but the people that you bring in from Los Angeles this year, Danny Glover is coming. How important is that to kind of get the kids involved in a way?
Well, I think that they get their attention, that, you know, when children have someone who they recognize from television or film, at least you can get their attention. So that's sort of the hook. And then we give them the message. And Maria Conchita Alonso also is joining us this year.
Yeah,
so that's great.
I haven't seen Maria for a while. I remember her from a couple of years ago in Los Angeles. The year-round effort, what do you have to put into this year-round to actually make these games a reality?
Well, sponsorships is so very important. That's number one. And of course, involvement with television is key in motivating kids, getting the message out. And we thank NBC for taking that lead role as being a major community leader in associating themselves with children, and particularly inner city kids that are more involved in the activities of drugs, and what we try to spell out, we give them hope instead of dope.
Tell me just briefly about the Beamon Foundation, because your work with children does not stop with the inner city games.
Well, we're set up to help kids in terms of scholarships. It could be, and when we say scholarships, kids that are interested in continuing school. And that may be a kindergartner, or it may be a first grader that may need a book bag. Or I will personally go into my pocket and help a child that is in need of that. I know that there are many families out there in desperate need of those basic essential things that children need to return to school or to have while they're in school. So we're there to help in that sense. So, and we spend a lot of time with that program to make sure that kids do get some of those things.
One of the things that we were just very fortunate is that because of Bob's celebrity, he has a lot of sponsors that are attached to him in many ways. So, for instance, if a child may need a computer, if we get that kind of request in, we may be able to fulfill that.
Speaking of Bob's celebrity, I want to switch gears here a minute. We have the Bob Beamon commemorative Olympic watch, right? This is a Swatch watch?
Yes.
Can we get a shot of this? Want to do it on camera one? What? Here, I want to hold it close to the microphone. What do? I press this?
Press it. Keep pressing
Hold it.
This is my favorite tune.
John Coltrane.
That's great. That's great. That's adorable. That's wonderful. And of course, we have the Olympics coming up very shortly. So how do you, this watch keeps moving. It does like 12 different things. I imagine you're going to be watching the long jump with very special interest.
Well, I'm hoping that I'll be watching, not only watching, but congratulating the winner, whether there's a record that's going to be set or just actually a person as receiving a gold medal. And I just hope it's one of our athletes from the United States.
But you've got to be sitting there going, no, don't break it this year.
Not really.
No?
I've been very happy with holding the world record for almost 24 years, and I still hold the Olympic record, which is probably the oldest Olympic record in the books today, so I'm excited about it.
Bob and Milana Beamon, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for all the wonderful work you do with children. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.